Welcome to the Science and Paranormal with Dr. Yana and Dr. Elliot, where science meets the unexpected, where we delve deep into the mysteries that straddle the line between scientific inquiry and paranormal. Get ready for a mind-altering journey as we embark on this phenomenal discovery together on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM.
Hello, everybody. It feels like it's been forever since I've seen or spoken to you all.
Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live back again on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM on the Science and Paranormal with a fabulous paranormal Dr. Elliot and myself, Dr. Yana. Today we're having an open mic and we welcome comments, questions, stories, and just come talk to us.
Yes, I'm just going to send that into the chat. So anybody that's listening through Facebook or YouTube or any other platform that you can chat with us, feel free to ask us any questions that you have about anything paranormal, and we'll try and answer for you. If it's outside our expertise, we'll get an answer for you. If you have any questions about apparitions, hypnosis, near-death experiences, hit us up. I'll be talking too about our investigation we did last weekend up in Amherst, Nova Scotia, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Well, it was a private residence up in Amherst, Nova Scotia, and I took my medium, Jody. I took my videographer, Scott, and I took my investigator, Chad, up with us. And I hadn't told Jody, of course, our medium, any detail. So we got there around 5 o'clock. And usually what I do is I get Jody and somebody that's taking photos to go do a walkthrough of the home, just the two of them. And so it was interesting. When Jody first got there, she kind of felt like she was having a heart attack again, and she had like this experience at another house, but she could feel like that tightness in her chest and like the numbness in the left arm, and it was over by the corner of the garage. And at the time, I didn't know she was experiencing that because she was with Scott, and the homeowners weren't around them. But I'll talk about that here in a second. And then when she was on the back deck, she said she felt like she was drowning, like she was swallowing water. And so that was really interesting. And then she went through the house, and she kind of sensed a young boy and an older man, and it was kind of connected to her feelings from outside. So then they did a walkthrough of the basement floor, the second floor, and then we met with homeowners. And interestingly enough, a couple nights ago, before we got there, the homeowner's wife and the dog were over by the shed, and the dog was barking as if there was somebody standing there, but there was nobody there. And that's where Jody had felt the presence of a man that had a heart attack. So she just got some research back on her home, and actually found out that somebody had died there on the property of heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
That was really interesting. And then the second thing is that when she told the homeowners that she felt like she was drowning on their back deck, they said, "Oh, that's really interesting. We used to have an above ground pool there, and we tore it down and built like a nice deck over it." So I thought that was really, really interesting. Then I had them go for a walk around the neighborhood, because about a block away from the home, there used to be a concentration camp in Amherst for prisoners of war. And one time when the homeowner was walking her dog at night, the dog would not walk on a certain side of the road, and the homeowner had seen a dark shadow with what she described as curly horns, almost like a demon, in the middle of the road, completely like a black shadow, couldn't make out any distinguishing features. And so I thought it would be interesting. I said, well, why don't you take Jody and Scott for a walk? Don't tell them any details. Just take them for a walk around the neighborhood, see what comes up. And sure enough, when they got by, it's now a concrete plant. It used to be the concentration camp, but it's now like a concrete company. As soon as they got to that point, the homeowner said it looked like Jody had hit a wall. She just like stopped dead in her tracks. She's like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "There's something wrong with this area. I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Mm-hmm.
This place feels awful. Is this the place that you had your experience?" And of course, she said yes. And then she ended up telling her what the experience was. So I thought those three things were interesting. The other thing that was really interesting in the house is I've never seen a house give off such high electromagnetic radiation from all of the light switches and the plugs and the wiring. It was extremely high, which we know through the laboratory that can cause people to experience a haunting. People can see things if the electromagnetic radiation is too high. They can hear. They can feel things, like feel either touches, or they could feel sensations of being watched. So that was an interesting part as well, because now we have to kind of decipher where the experiences took place for the homeowners, where the experiences took place for us, and go back and look at our data that we collected and see, was that one of the rooms where the EMF was extremely high. Interestingly enough, all the newer parts of the home had high EMF, and all the older original parts of the home, actually the wiring was really good and wasn't giving off anything abnormal. The only thing that we got on the EMF, besides the high wiring issues at that house, that was unusual, was that there was a cast iron pot on the island that I was getting a very high EMF reading from. And we have it on video. Like, my investigators were all standing around me when this was happening. And I couldn't figure it out. Why am I getting this hit? So I checked the what do you call it? Like the LED pot light that was above there.
It's like something was cooking there.
And there was nothing like wrong with the light. And I checked the outlet that was, a few feet away. There's nothing wrong with that. And so eventually, like, I couldn't figure out where this reading was coming from. So I lifted the lid up, and then it stopped. And then so my investigators made a joke that I let the genie out of the bottle, or the spirit out of the cast iron pot. But once I lifted that lid, it stopped. So I did some research, and cast iron cannot give off, electromagnetic radiation. So yeah, it was very, very strange. And then the only other thing that happened, and anyone that knows me knows that I don't like the spirit box. I don't use any of the apps on the phones or anything like that. So later that evening, I asked my team to go do a electronic voice phenomena session up in the office where the family reported a lot of the activity happens. And I said, here's the spirit box if you guys want to try it. I said, I don't like it. I said, I think it's too noisy. It's garbage. All it does is scan the radio frequencies, and all you ever get's one answer. And you can tell it's coming from the radio. And I said, I don't want you to come back and report to me that you had one answers. I said something to that effect. Sure enough, they're up there for about an hour, and then they come down, and they were saying, "Oh my God!" They're like, we had a crazy experience up there. I'm like, well, what happened? And they said that the spirit box said all of their names. It said the client's name, it said Jody's name, and it said Scott's name. They had asked the spirit if they could touch Scott twice, and he claims that he was touched twice on the back of his neck. And then when they asked, why did you do that, the spirit box said that you asked. And then anytime that they asked a yes or no question, instead of hearing like just yes, it actually said it twice. So it was saying, for yes, it was saying, yup, yup, almost like, yep, yep. And I laughed because I said, well, maybe they overheard me downstairs saying I didn't want a one answer word because every time that they would ask like a yes or no question, they'd actually get it would repeat it twice. So it was kind of interesting. I tried to listen to it on audio while they're at the house, but again, the spirit box is so loud that you really can't make anything out. Scott is in the process of kind of cleaning everything up, and he has sent me a couple of clips. I did hear their names being spoken over the spirit box, and I did hear the yup yup for one of their questions. So kind of cool. I think it's worth going back to do a second night for sure. But just so many different things happening there. Like I found most of the good evidence kind of came from Jody, our medium. And then of course you've got that electrical field issue with most of the house. Um, so I really have to look at like where their experiences were happening in the house, and it's going to be hard to determine was it paranormal or was it kind of man-made. And when I say man-made, I mean through the poor wiring.
And are you going to go back? Oh, I can hear myself. Dr. Elliot, let's fix it.
Oh, geez, really? No, it didn't. I didn't get any feedback at all. Yes, I think we are going to go back. Probably in the fall, sometime. I think we'll go back.
All right, that was a very interesting story. Very interesting. I would like to see what happens next. We have a great question by Thomas Donahue here.
Oh,
This last
Thomas.
name,
Hello, Thomas.
yeah, this last name Donahue is like the Phil Donahue show. Remember that one?
Yes,
Yeah,
we actually worked with a member. His last name was Donahue as well. It's not too common.
it is not too common. Yes, such a great question. Do you feel like this YouTube paranormal boom of late is giving the paranormal field a negative look? I was just thinking about it for the past couple of days because I've seen so many different shows and just people talking about it on YouTube back and forth, right and left. And of course, I don't want to look snobby by saying, oh, I'm the expert in that and the other people are not. But lately, I've noticed for the past probably decade that people are running after sensation. And after sensation and show, they put up a great show. Even the paranormal shows that we see, they are still the show, and a lot of the facts were even made up or uh, just altered in some way because for us, for humans, we no longer welcome any simple stories. For us to be uh, infatuated about something or be excited about something, we have to have a great representation or visual representation, and this way we get of course like so hungry for the visuals, for the audio as well, and that excitement and that hunger, when there is a supply and demand, and of course if there's a demand, the supply is going to follow suit, and this is why we see so many people even making up stories, or sometimes they are not or quite often they're not professional enough to do what they do, in fact. And it is, of course, okay to go and do ghost busting, right? That movie, Ghostbusters. It's okay. It's good because if you have a passion, it's good to go and pursue it. However, what's the end goal? The end goal probably could be the one that to provide entertainment to people. However, for us here, the end goal is to help people. Uh, like Dr. Elliot just mentioned, help to that family, in fact. And he's going to go back. He's not running after sensation per se. People ask him for help, and then he goes and helps them.
Yeah, and I'd second that. And for the first comment about the help, you're right. This family reached out to us. Anyone that knows me and knows my organization, we're not a proactive organization. We're a reactive organization. So we usually receive cases from people that need help. They contact us through the website. We do very little investigations. It could be anywhere from 5 to maybe 10 a year. They this last investigation probably ran us around $1,000, which is 50% of our operating budget that we start with at the year. Because my wife and I, Sarah, we do $2,000 every year. That's our operating budget, and then I have to fundraise all throughout the year. I donate proceeds from any sales of my books, things like that, and that kind of allows us to do investigations, hold educational sessions, things like that. So, very true in the helping part. And then with the YouTube part, I agree with you. It seems like a lot of I always get sent YouTube channels, and when I watch them, it's almost like you said, no different than the shows that are on TV. It's just kind of different. It's like geared towards YouTube. And I recently have Scott looking at our YouTube page because we're hoping to grow our audience on PPRI's YouTube, not by doing those kind of foolish videos, but putting out like educational videos. Like, for example, after I just did this house in Amherst, I put out a short 5-minute video clip talking about electromagnetism and why ghost hunters use EMF readers, because I don't even know if some of them even know why they use it. But that house was a great example on why you bring an EMF reader there. And I had a call from a friend tonight from Virginia, and she was telling me that her she was asking for my opinion what to do. Like she said, her dog is staring at this wall and acting as if like there's something there. And so she said, I took out my EMF reader and I checked the wiring and stuff like that. And I said, you know what? I said, that's actually really good. I said, because, you check the wiring on that wall, because if there was excessive amounts of EMF, that could actually be triggering the dog to be paying attention, because the dog might feel spooked. They would have the same sensations that we would, the feelings of being watched, maybe seeing something, maybe hearing something, and I gave her credit for that, because, she wasn't, filming something for YouTube or trying to get views and likes and things like that. Now, I do find if you're looking for views and likes, posting videos like the one I just did is probably not going to get you as much as the other channels do. But I just can't stand them, like, for what we do, because, we read academic journals, we participate in research studies, conduct scientific investigations. So when I'm watching that, I can't take it seriously. I almost, like, if I am watching it, it's just for entertainment purposes, because like
You're
you
just
said,
boring, Dr. Elliot. You're just boring. You're telling people the truth. And who wants the truth? Like throughout the ages. And I'm not saying it's bad, of course, but this is just the common understanding of it. So throughout the ages, people did not want the truth. You would tell, if you want to hide something, put it right in front of the person and they will never find it. But all the scammers throughout the years and centuries, why were they so incredibly profoundly interesting to people and popular? Is because they could put up a great show. You and I are still not there. We could be wearing all those crazy costumes, every time you and I would just show up, and with lots of rings, black rings, like we're supposed to in our field, right? And then people are going to like us. There is going to be a lot of mystery about us. We're not going to say much. We'll just allude to something, right? And then also do this flashy videos. Oh, yes, you and I are going to become really successful. But the thing is that is going to go against our principles, because we are here for the truth. We are here to help people, not run after the money or sensationalism, although it would be nice to be supported. So if you like our show, please subscribe, like and subscribe to our channel, YouTube channel. So
thanks for the comment, May. May said, one of our listeners, regular, faithful listeners,
yes.
says that she appreciates the truth, and that's why she listens to the show. But it's so true. A lot of the people that I know, like Lloyd Auerbach there in San Francisco, and John Kruth, the executive director of the Ryan Research Center. They don't have their own TV shows. They're not, they don't have like thousands and thousands of views and
Mm-hmm.
subscribers and all that stuff, but they're also doing real work. So like when you sit down and listen to one of their interviews, that what they're saying is based on facts. So and like you said, people are good at editing videos, and when you can add like the spookiness, that's what people like. There's a lot of people that want that kind of entertainment value, but a lot of the paranormal YouTube YouTube kind of culture, really, it's almost like an adult version of what my daughter Meadow watches. Like Meadow watches these kids open up toys, and she watches these kids. They change characters now. Like so, like every character is now evil. So you've got like the kid show Blippy. Now there's like evil Blippy, and then there's like Grimace from McDonald's, like the purple Grimace from McDonald's. Now there's like an evil Grimace, and so like she watches all those shows. And then when you look at like the paranormal YouTube shows, it's almost like the adult version of that, and it attracts viewers. But speaking of viewers as well, now I'll always be cautious. Actually, one of our listeners tonight, there, Thomas Donahue, had told me about somebody that he knows and sent me this YouTube video, and it was of a gentleman that was critiquing another paranormal page, and actually showed you that the person had like 76,000 subscribers. But then when you would look at their videos that they uploaded, they only had like maybe 10 views and like maybe 1 or 2 likes. And so that shows that it was almost like one of those paid to
Mm-hmm.
get subscribers. So like, although your YouTube channel has like, 90,000 followers, that could have been simply from one of those spam things that you see where they want you to pay for likes and clicks and stuff like that. So it's a tough yeah, the YouTube stuff's a tough go, but there is some good stuff on there for sure. I'll admit I use some of the documentaries on YouTube for our teaching at the Canadian Association of Parapsychological Research and Investigations Education Center online. I'll find like legitimate good documentaries and put the links there, but you gotta sift through the garbage, I guess, and there's a lot of it.
Yeah, I would advise not to run after sensations and not be hungry because be hungry for this kind of experiences. Because I know people themselves, they even investigators, they are so hungry for this sort of feelings and sensations uh, that they would do anything just to feel or see that. Even remember, Dr. Elliot, when I told you that, well, when you told me that, oh yeah, I would like to see that. If there is some crazy case, I'm going to be there. And that is also, of course, for your professional interest. But some people, they would want to be there just to experience that personally for themselves. They like this ghost junkies, essentially. Thomas Donahue, again, he has comment to follow up the previous one. To me, it seems like there is a medium or sensitive or a person who with claim abilities everywhere I turn. Do you believe it's a mass awakening or people faking it just to separate themselves on a team or in a group? This is a great question because
Yeah.
if you are a true medium, a true seer, a true paranormal investigator, a true exorcist, you will not go and advertise yourself like that. You will not going to be the person next to somebody who sees it to the right and to the left. Those people would have to be sought after. Uh, and unfortunately, those professionals and people with real abilities, they are not running around uh, on the street. It is not so easy to see them, to find them. So I don't believe in this mass awakening. If that were the case, then we would see truth more often than not. I know that a lot of people are faking, yes, to separate themselves on a team or as a group. Of course, they invent charismatic image that people can follow. And unfortunately, it can be the show. And of course, I am not excluding the fact that there are some people who just recently discovered their abilities and who are talking about it and who do want to help other people and be in these haunted places, to be a medium who do not understand how to use their gifts or how to protect themselves. And those would be really uh, ubiquitous, and you would be able to find them everywhere. What do you think, Dr. Elliot?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like that's how I found the medium that we have on our team is I didn't have anyone that had that skill set. My sister is married to Jeremy, who's an electrician, and he has a twin sister named Jody. And she has always told me, my sister, that Jody, she finds like she's a really accurate medium, and that I should meet her and maybe have her come on an investigation. So we had this one house uh, about 2 summers ago now, where we could use a medium. So I said, "What the heck? Give her a call, give her a chance." So did the same thing that I always do to her. Told her when and where to go, but that was about it. And that was the case that I always talk about, where she had kind of the six significant hits. She had the heart attack feeling. She picked out the tape measure in the shed. She sensed that there was an issue with the left leg, and the homeowner's mother had it amputated. She knew which she picked the two outlying cards of the missing six of spades. She could detect the fifth and the seven of spades, but it was the six of spade card that was missing. And she picked out the deceased father's name. And so after that, I was like, okay, it's like, geez, this is, really interesting. This is her first investigation. She had no details about it. She was able to corroborate, give us six significant hits there. So I asked her to join the team. I hadn't worked with her on a case since then. My team up in Halifax, I usually get the files up in Halifax, and I just supervise from afar to kind of cut down on costs. And but she came up to Amherst, and again, like I said, I worked with her, and I witnessed a couple of what I consider significant hits. The fact that she felt like she was drowning, standing on the back deck, and find out that there was a pool there at one point, and the fact that she sensed that there was a gentleman connected to the house that had some sort of heart attack, and then a couple days later, I get an email from the homeowner saying, "Hey, look what we found! Medical records that show a gentleman died in the house of heart disease." And then, of course, one thing that I forgot is Scott had actually asked her at one point during the night if he could read him, and detect anything about him. And she said that she saw a man, because she's clairvoyant, clairaudient. So she saw a man, and he showed a family. He showed a mother, father, and then he said the father was removed, and then showed that there was something wrong with the throat. And so Jody was explaining what she was seeing, and Scott started to cry, and she started to cry because of the emotions that she was feeling from the spirit. And it turned out that Scott's stepfather was his life, and he died of throat cancer. And so that was like extremely significant to Scott. And how else would Jody know that? That's her first time meeting Scott, besides Zoom meetings, because that was Scott's first investigation with us. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think the ones that are legitimate are not the ones that are on the TV show, waving their hands up in the
Yeah.
air, saying, "Look at me, look at me." I think it's the ones that are quietly out there, and usually you find out about the word of mouth somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, when it comes to helping people, it is usually driven by some suffering, some problem, some inability to overcome a problem. And of course, when people contact us, we go and we investigate, and that's how we help them. And it is usually, for me at least, it's word of mouth when people would be able to uh, search for me, and their friends or neighbors or family are actually giving them my name, because I also I don't advertise. I don't walk around in any fields. I don't around, or any parties, and advertise that I'm a seer. So that is something to watch out for. We just had an interesting comment, right, Dr.
Yes, we
Elliot?
did. We did. Um,
Michelle, yeah, Michelle said that
Michelle said, yeah, she has some paranormal activity, orbs, waves, voices, and ghost dogs barking on video, and she shares it on social media just so that others can see what she experiences. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, you reminded me of two things here, Michelle. One is we were all laughing this evening. For those that don't know, it was my anniversary tonight with my wife, our second anniversary. So we were just hanging out with my niece and my daughter in the hot tub earlier, and she is kind of interested in kind of doing like some social media influencing. So she's written to a few companies, and they've sent her like little pieces of jewelry and things like that. And she's doing these "get ready with me" videos. I guess it's a trend with the young kids now on TikTok. And anyway, she's got like 630 subscribers now, or followers on YouTube. And I think PPRI's account has like 24. So I was laughing because I'm like, oh my God, I was like, here, I spend all this time like putting out these educational videos. I have 24 subscribers. You know, she's showing some jewelry that was by herself. She's got 600 subscribers. But we were laughing because my wife's come across a TikTok where people are like live streaming themselves sleeping. And I'm like, are you serious? She's like, oh yeah. She's like, they got a bunch of followers. Like people tune in every night to watch them sleep. And I said, well, I haven't seen that one, but I said, I like there's on TikTok, I've seen like chefs cooking during the day and they live stream their job or whatever. But I mean, it's kind of gotten to that point now where like you can almost find anything on social media. But I do think that's really cool that you share that stuff. The other thing you reminded me of, Michelle, when you said the sound of a ghost dog barking on video, is the other thing that reminded me in Amherst is Scott had found two knocks on the audio when they were upstairs in the office, two very distinct knocks, and he was able to send me the clips of those. And when he checked his camera, he's a professional photographer, so he's got one of those high-end Canon cameras. I don't even know what model. It's like the newest one that's available right now. And the knock was not on the video. So he had mentioned that to me, and he's like, that's weird. He's like, it was on the audio, but it wasn't on the video. I said, actually, that's really cool. I said, because in a lot of paranormal phenomena, especially electronic voice phenomena, you will actually only get the sound on one device for some reason, and that makes it even more special. So he had his camera set up and the audio, but it only ever showed up on the audio, and it was two very distinct knocks. So you just reminded me about that too. So there's definitely some strange stuff happening at that Amherst.
Do we have any more questions here? Looks like a lot of comments.
Oh,
Yeah, that is
there's
so
my
fun.
there's
Oh
my niece
yes,
there, my
uh-huh.
my little influencer niece listening to my show. Yeah, no, it was funny. Like I
Pretty
said,
soon Zoe will become famous.
well, okay. She
It
did go
already
to
is.
she did go to a we she loves thrift shopping, and so we took her to the flea market not too long ago, and there was a tarot card reader there, and she had her tarot cards read, and they said that she would become like very rich and like very like famous. So maybe the social influencing is going to be what brings her there, because there are people that do very well and very successful at that. So
That's a very good tarot card reading, of course. There can be some negative ones, and unfortunately, at this sensitive age, it is possible to get something in the reading. Sometimes it can be really negative, and then remember that and make it a case for their life. Would always be scared and afraid of what was told to them, and there's so many cases like that. So gotta be really
Yeah,
careful.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to, you have to, you have to really like take it with a grain of salt. I think like I've been to some good mediums that have said some stuff that had some meaning to me, and then other times I've been to them and like nothing makes sense. There are a few things that they'll tell you to watch out for. Like if you find that you are having to provide them with a lot of answers, that's usually a red flag. A lot of mediums don't want you to really say anything. They just want to spitball what's, and if it has any meaning to you, that's great. But they don't want you to basically feed them. And I've heard some horrible stories where mediums have talked about people becoming sick and
Yeah.
uh, and going to die. And from what I've talked to from mediums that I trust and that are reputable, they say that that's kind of like a ethical thing that real don't do. Like even if they see that a death is coming or something like that, they don't kind of spook their client by telling them stuff like that. So, and then of course there's always the frauds out there as well. Like if you go to Google News and type in psychic charged, you'll see articles on frauds that are happening.
I had a person who came actually for therapy, and all of a sudden, he tells me that he listened to a psychic somewhere in New York, and we live here in San Diego. And of course, he was coming to me for different issues, for relationship problems. But what happened to him that he was so eager to find out what the future held for him. So he did. He found somebody on the internet, and then he dialed that number for some psychic who was in New York. And that psychic wanted to sell him a lot of the things for a few $1,000s, that when the call was just $25. So he was being um, scammed for a few $1,000s, and he decided that he's not going to do that. Well, that person cursed him. And a lot of the times, even if you don't have, or those people don't have a special gift, they still have the ability, due to their dark energy, to say something that would manifest as something negative in your life as well. So that indeed manifested in his life. And for many months after that, that person, psychic, supposed psychic, was tracking him down, trying to lure the money out of him. But just because he went and spoken to that supposed psychic, a lot of bad energy came into his life. And whatever that person said, how I'm going to curse you, whatever the person said, that's exactly how it appeared in that man's life. And he was no longer with his girlfriend, and he was taken to court, and bad things happened to him. So I would be very careful going to find this kind of psychics or mediums on the internet, because you don't know. If you want to find someone, just look at their face, look at the eyes, and see if you resonate with that person. And of course, it's really difficult to even believe all of those testimonies that this person, supposed psychic, helped. There are many good ones, of course, but some, or the vast majority of them, is not. They are scammers, and I would just warn people for that.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting even with company kind of what do you call reviews? Like when companies put reviews for themselves on their website. Like my wife only picking the best ones. You know what I mean? I like the third party reviews that you go to and can review, because you'll see some people say, yeah, it was good or it's bad. And you kind of, everyone could have a bad experience. So, but like, I really do pay attention to the reviews. Like even on Amazon, if I'm looking for something, I'll go through all the reviews, and like, if it's mostly positive and there might be the one person that had a bad experience or something like that, I put it in the back of my mind. But for the most part, the majority seem to have positive experiences. So but you're right, on the medium websites, of course they're only going to put the positive ones, and they're not going to put, if they were totally wrong. My colleague Daryl Walsh always tells a funny story about a medium here in Nova Scotia. He's not so much active anymore, but there was a medium back that was very active back in the late 90s, and we had invited him down to the Center for Parapsychological Studies in Canada, and he did a couple readings on some of the members. And one of the readings that he gave to the member, he said, your father's proud of you, and he wants you to get your car checked, and he's worried about it and all this stuff. And then he left, and then we went around the room asking everyone, like, how accurate did you find it? And when we got back to the investigator with the dad in the car, he's like, well, that's funny. He's like, my dad's not dead. He's still alive. And he's like, and I don't own a car. So so he was like, obviously completely way off. So, like I said, some are accurate and good, and others, I don't know.
And we shouldn't exclude, of course, the possibilities of some mental disorders when people claim to have this incredible abilities, and of course that they don't. Unfortunately, gullible people will fall for that and listen to all of these advices. So be careful on this level.
Yeah, and that's how paranormal investigations got started. If anyone, really knows about the history, but it was during the spiritualism movement that academics with the Society for Psychical Research were very curious about people that claimed that they could contact and communicate with the dead. And so they started to investigate spiritualists, which eventually moved into physical and trans mediumship. And they were finding a lot of fraud. And there was a lot of people after the World Wars that were profiting from doing psychic readings, because of course you lost your husband or you lost your son, and people that normally go see a psychic, they're normally going there because they've lost somebody, or they're looking for something. They're looking for guidance, whether it's love, whether it's occupational career guidance. So vulnerable people tend to seek out mediums, and you just have to be careful, because you gave a few examples tonight of how, they can start selling you stuff. And I always give examples when I'm lecturing about house cleansings, that nobody can guarantee to remove paranormal phenomena from your home. And I always equate it to the fact, if you have an unwanted guest in your home right now, a human, you can do three things. You can ask them to leave, you can grab them and throw them out, or when I was a police officer, you call us and we come and get them. But when you're dealing with a spirit or supernatural entity, you can ask them to leave, but that's kind of where it ends from there. You can't really grapple onto them, and there's no proton packs that we can zap them with and throw them in the containment unit. So when you see these people charging for house cleansings, you got to be careful, because it can be costly. It can be like $500 to $1,000, and then guess what? Didn't work. So you got to have them come back for a second time and a third time, and next thing you know, you're $3,000 in the hole to a scam.
Well, especially if they guarantee it. That cannot be guaranteed in the first place. But if you come back and say that you guarantee, oh, that means that I need to come out there one more time, pay another $1,000 and another $1,000 up until we make it happen. So, you know what? If those people can claim take $1,000 for this kinds of cleansings, you and I can do even better.
Oh, It's funny. Daryl and I always joke. I always call him like Madam Daryl, and I send him like these funny memes because like it would be quite easy for somebody to set up a website and a phone number and do stuff like that, like be a psychic or a medium. Like they don't give refunds, so I mean, literally, you could have somebody contact you and say your price is $50 an hour or whatever they charge. I know it's a lot more. It's like so the average I think is probably about 125, 150 an hour. But you could charge that, feed them a bunch of nonsense, and you just made $150 in an hour.
But you just said that a lot of those people, and I would say probably all of the people who seek the mediumship advice, they are vulnerable people, and they will believe anything you say. And of course, if they have some string of reason in them, they will try to think it through. However, people go to get some sort of advice to get in touch with a loved one who just recently died, or to cleanse the house. And the interesting thing about it, the whole thing, is that this kind of mediums, they can help. And why? Because it's just a simple power of suggestion.
Yeah, I actually read an article where Houdini, obviously Harry Houdini was a great magician and escape artist, and he had done a couple of I don't want to call them scams, but he basically set himself up to collect money from individuals and kind of do like a mediumship reading from it. And he had only done it a couple times and realized, holy smokes, like you could do this quite frequently and take advantage of people quite a bit. So that's kind of what fueled him to become basically a paranormal investigator. So he actually started to go out and investigate mediums and determine whether or not they were legitimate
Mm-hmm.
or fake. And it's because obviously he was good at the sleight of hand, and he, very personable individual, I'm sure, doing the type of work that he was doing. And he realized how easy it was to scam people, and he actually wanted to go out and identify the scammers. So, yeah, it's been something that's been plaguing the paranormal since the
Dawn
1800s.
of time, dawn
Yeah,
of time.
yeah, yeah.
We have one, probably like a couple of people here in California who have set up a very successful business on just making, actually ordering. You can order anything, anything nowadays you can order. Little dolls, like look like little animals.
Oh
And
yes.
there will be, are you familiar with that? It reached all the way from here to from California to Canada.
You know what? I've just. It might not be the exact same thing, but go ahead, continue.
Oh,
I've
yes. So, what they would do, they would claim, and they set up such a successful business, they would claim that they go to all of those interesting national parks, to all of the places of power, of strength, and energy, and zap the piece of energy of the spirit that presides over that place and put it into that doll. And I would sell that doll for how much do you think it is? It's a little bitty doll like this, with little ears and eyes. How much do you think that this dolls go for? Let's take a poll, people. Please
75.
put your comments in there. What did you say?
Dr. Elliott's gonna go with $75.
$75. Who else?
We
$75.
got 75, 75.
75. Let's see how much everyone else is saying.
No, I hadn't heard of that particular one, but I was gonna say I know that you see a lot of the haunted dolls for sale. May says 150, so
150.
we got 150.
People, you are going too low. Come on.
Too low.
Pick
Oh
it up, pick it up, pick it up. Just add one more zero to May's number.
no.
Actually, $1,500 to $2,000. People
Oh
buy
my.
that. And if you state something that little doll is $2,500, and of course he gives people a discount, like it'd be $500 to $1,000 discount, people buy it because he
Wow.
claims that those dolls can actually help you in different areas of your life. So be very careful, people. Be very careful what you're paying your money for. Unless, if you are ready to give up your money just like that, and I'm talking to those people who are, support us. Support us. Send us some money to us, and we will be providing you with a lot of truth if you're
Yes,
interested in
actually,
that, of course.
we're always looking for a sponsor. I got to get back on that to reach out to a few more sponsors because we've been doing this since January now, so it's been over half a year. How many episodes do we have now? It's
Since January, Dr. Elliot, it was from the last November.
Was it since last
October.
November?
October. It was from last October,
Oh my God! So
right?
it's almost been a year. We don't have
Yeah.
any sponsors. We'd be prime to have a sponsor, and yeah, more than willing to work with one. So if anyone knows any good sponsors that like to do radio show podcast sponsoring, let us know. Send us an email at science and paranormal at ppri.net and the paranormal at ppri.net. I just put the address up there. You can also visit our website too at bio.site/science and paranormal. And what else do we have on the go here, Dr. Anna? We've got some courses coming up in the fall. I think you want to teach a dream studies course.
Dream studies. Hmm.
Want to do it? How long is that going to be? Is it going to be a 4 or 8 week course? I'm waiting for your
8 week.
syllabus.
Oh,
Eight
yes,
weeks?
that's right. 8 weeks. Yeah, 8 weeks. We can
Okay.
go for 8 weeks. We can devise one that would go 4 weeks, which is good as well. So those the courses that are taught, they're 8 weeks long, right?
Yeah, we do 8 and 4. So I've actually got the list here. We were going to get you to do the therapeutic hypnosis, but we switched that to dream studies. So we're going to do your dream studies. And then let's see what we got for our fall semester. So Dr. Daryl Walsh is going to be teaching Introduction to Cryptozoology, a 4 week course. He's going to talk about some of the different, he loves Bigfoot. So he's going to hit on, going to talk about some of the First Nations creatures like the Wendigo and other creatures. We're going to run our Introduction to Demonology course as well, which is 4 weeks. That's going to be taught by James Nito. And then we're going to be running the Investigating UAPs and UFO course again, run by Chris Stiles. That's a 4 week course. It was really interesting last time we ran it. And then, of course, we're going to run the Introduction to Parapsychology course again, which is 8 weeks. And then we'll do your dreams, which will be 8 weeks. So that'll be a good fall semester if anyone's interested in taking some reputable online courses with some of our great instructors, including Dr. Yana and myself. You can visit ppri.net. And what else do we have on the go? I know the Halifax Paranormal Symposium's coming up soon. That'll be on Saturday, October 12th for anyone that wants to check out the Maritimes. Next year, I'm going to have Dr. Yana come as a guest speaker, and she's going to talk to us about ancient extraterrestrials.
Oh,
So
yes.
that'll be interesting. This year we have Chris Rakowski is going to talk about alien abduction. Myself, I'm going to do law enforcement and the paranormal. Holly Stevens is going to talk about paranormal equipment, the difference between using it on television and scientifically. We're going to have John Kruth from the Rhine Research Center come talk to us about electronic psychokinesis. There are individuals out there that can affect computers and electronics. So if you always get the blue screen of death, you might have something going on with you. It's not just a coincidence. People give off energy, and some people give off a certain frequency that can affect electronics. And we'll have Laura Warren as well, going to talk to us about mediumship and protection techniques. So we got a great lineup. Again, that's Saturday, October 12th at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Conference Center. And tickets are available at ppri.net/tickets.
That is fantastic.
Yeah,
We had
got a
just
few things.
a recent talk with Lynn Buchanan, who was in fact able, actually his entire life, to affect electrical devices,
Mm,
computers, to knock everything out. And he is the one that has to watch his anger, because when it happens, everything starts flying around. That's been
that's really
happening to him
fascinating.
since childhood. Yeah, so a couple of episodes back, if you're interested in that, please go check that out.
Yeah, that's that would be really, really, you know, fascinating to observe for sure. I know certain people do seem to struggle with technology. Daryl's one of them. I always say that he's got that frequency in him because usually his video will work and his audio won't work. And yeah, no, there's people that can affect electronics like that, and it's a fascinating phenomena within itself.
Yeah, and not just affecting electronics. It's interestingly enough, if people can do that, they can do a lot of other things. They can manifest as good and as bad things as well. So they have to watch. And of course, that I've noticed that since I was a child. And I would wish for something to happen, it would happen. Interestingly enough, and every time that I would get angry, things will start happening. And then I learn how to harness that energy and not to cause harm, because there are great consequences for that. But as a child, of course, you don't know about it much, but later in life, I learned how to do that. So, Dr. Elliot, don't make me angry. Otherwise, I'm going to send something over. Bam.
No, I won't. Next week on Science and the Paranormal, we'll have Tony Rathman and Ron Iacovetti back to talk to us about Staticom and electronic voice phenomena. I'm going to reach out to them and see if possibly they could do a live session with their equipment. And yeah, it was very fascinating conversation that we had with them last time.
Mhm.
So looking forward to touching base with them. And who else do we have in the lineup coming up?
We have, let me see, Lynn Buchanan comes back. Supposed to come back, of course. And that would be incredible to talk to him again.
We have Nancy
Nancy Thames.
Nancy Thames. She used to work for the Department of Defense, and she's going to come on and talk to us about her experiences with. Trying to remember the topic. I believe it's extraterrestrials. I believe.
Yeah, her personal experiences with the extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's always fascinating. I love alien stuff.
that
In
would be
fact,
so interesting.
my co-founder Spencer had given me this as a gift one time, made out of stone.
Oh, the stone.
Yeah,
Ooh, looks
look
like
at the
marble.
eyes. Look at the eyes on this guy. No, I love aliens and extraterrestrials. So yeah, it should be fascinating. Anything
That's
space.
what's so interesting about it, about this type of aliens with elongated skulls and upward slanted eyes, is that they look a lot like reptilians.
Mm,
And
yes.
perhaps this is where our reptilian agenda comes from.
Which which guest was it we were talking about where they were basically telling us that the extraterrestrials kind of just take on like the form, like their energy or like beings or whatnot, but they kind of like project themselves to what abductees report to us.
I think Lynn Buchanan.
Was it Lynn? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I found that very interesting. And then I've seen other videos too where uh, it was really interesting. A friend of mine, Spencer, actually the same, my co-founder that gave me the alien skull, sent me a video, and there was a lady talking about how a lot of people have talked, abductees have reported that grays seem to be very robotic. And this lady was talking about how the the gray aliens actually created the smaller gray aliens that are kind of robots or cyborgs, and they send them down to get the people that they want to abduct because the other aliens can't survive in our like atmosphere in our environment, which I thought was interesting because wherever they came from, it could be possible. It's like if we went to Mars right now and took our spacesuits off, we wouldn't be able to breathe and we'd die. So I
Yeah.
was listening to that and I'm like, Jesus, like that's kind of interesting. You can get really deep when you start thinking about it.
Yeah, because if that was written centuries ago, for example, in the Anunnaki story, right, when they appeared here on Earth and they had a lower subtype uh, of the entities with them called the Ejiji. And later on, of course, in the Bible, they started to be calling as watchers who came on Earth and started mating with women. So it's the same thing. They would create those entities as a subtype of them, and that would perform the work. However, the interesting thing about all those entities that we create, especially now with the artificial intelligence, you never know what and how they are going to react later when they are given autonomy. So Egigis or Igigis, they in fact rebelled. And they rebelled, and this is what we called in the Old Testament the demons that rebelled against God. They rebelled essentially, and then the Anunnaki created the person, the human being as we know now, to perform
I,
all that dirty work for
I always,
them.
I always find that interesting too. Yeah, when you hear the mix of religion and extraterrestrials, because some people make a very convincing argument about it. It's interesting. I'm sure your presentation next year will be absolutely fascinating.
Oh yeah, there's not going to be one single person left who will believe in what they believe. That's my goal. That's my goal. Well, our show is getting to an end. Unfortunately, it's been so fun to talk to you guys, to hear your comments. That was very, very interesting. So, at some point in time in the future, we'll have another open mic. So, prepare your stories, comments, questions for us, and definitely email us your stories.
Yes, please. I'll start saving them, and if I see you guys post on social media, I'll write your questions down, and then when we have another open mic night, and I can discuss it. And don't feel you know don't feel like you can't reach out to us. Our email is science and the paranormal at ppri.net. Our website's bio.site/science and paranormal. I know people have reached out to us. That's how we've gotten some of our guests, like Tony Rabbin had reached out to us. Nancy Thames has reached out to us. So don't be afraid to contact us. Ask us your questions, and yeah, we appreciate the interaction. That's why we do this. It's
And I'm
nice.
glad that you mentioned that because there are some people, or in fact, that I know that are hesitating emailing us because supposedly they think that we know a lot too much, and the question or the comment is going to be considered as not so intelligent. It is not so. Please email us. There's not one single question that is dumb. It is actually dumb not to ask questions. This is what we learned at school. Not
No,
one single question. We always want to know.
it's true. That's why I love teaching at our parapsychological education center. Some of my students ask questions, and I end up having to do like a little bit of research because nobody's an expert in every single topic. And
Absolutely.
one of my students, Thomas Donahue, that was asking some questions tonight, he had actually asked a question about is there any sort of linkage of paranormal activity near ocean cities, such as here in the Maritimes? And I did do some research, and oceans and tides can affect the Earth's magnetic field, which we know can cause people to experience paranormal phenomena. So it's not something that I think's been studied extensively, but it is possible that places near the ocean could experience more paranormal phenomena if it does affect the Earth's magnetic field, because we know that Earth's magnetic field does affect us.
Or, Dr. Elliot, people just like to go to the ocean, to the beach cities, right? For their vacations, and they just stay there. Maybe because of that as well. And they create a lot of paranormal activity. Well, it has been Science and the Paranormal, ladies and gentlemen. Come join us next Tuesday for another exciting episode. But for tonight, we wish you good night. Have sweet
Good night,
dreams,
everyone.
kind
Yep.
and sweet dreams. Good
We'll see
night.
you next week.
Good night.